Hi, and welcome to Sawbridge Farm Podcast. My name's Dennis, and I'm your host. And today we have a very special guest, Jessica Gahm, and you're the real wellness. What is it again?
The real holistic wellness clinician. I'm a
Okay,
therapist.
you're a therapist. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming out to the farm.
Hmm.
I was hoping to have some snow for today, but it's gone. It was so pretty out there. But then again, it's really nice not to have the snow.
Yes, I would agree.
So we took a little tour of the property. What'd you think of the farm?
It is absolutely remarkable. I can see where the vision is coming from, and I am excited to see what transpires moving forward. It looks like it's going to be amazing.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
we have a really great team. Kelly, is fantastic with the vision. Got a lot of people helping here. And Kelly told me about you and what you do. And talking to you, I get why we should have a conversation because I think there's areas of overlap that we could be working together in the very near future. So first of all, what do you do? What is your job title? What does that exactly do for those who are unaware of
Sure.
anything holistic or wellness?
So I guess I'm doing a lot of different things now, which is a change from what I was recently doing for the agency. So I'm not new to the agency, but I'm new to this role.
So just
So one of the primary functions I engage in is as a therapist. And the population that I work with is with trauma, grief, and loss. And it's not like I made a conscious decision to go into that area. I just was drawn to it for some reason and just continued to build that knowledge base. So I do work with a lot of trauma, grief, and loss with individuals who are either directly impacted by substance abuse or substance use disorder because that's what they've got going on themselves, or maybe a loved one or a family member has a substance use issue. So that's the real piece under the recovery engagement and linkage program. And in terms of the holistic piece, that's something that is building, and I'm really excited about. Actually, this upcoming Monday, I'm going to do a pop-up yoga class for the agency in the evening, and I'm opening it up to staff as well as some of the consumers. I just offered it to a couple of the clients that I know were interested in it, but in the future, it's going to become a regular thing. But so that's part of it. So introducing the practice of yoga, and also as I was talking with Kelly a couple weeks ago, what got this rolling was I was going to attend a holistic health and wellness expo out in Cherry Hill, and she was interested in it. I don't even know how the conversation transpired, to be honest. And she was like, "Well, is there anything like that in this area?" And I was just sitting there looking dumb at her. I was like, "No, there's like another one that happens in Edison, but nothing in Ocean County." And one of the things that, I was like, just, are you like insinuating that I should do this? And she was like, oh, maybe. Yeah. And so I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, I can put together a little wellness expo. But my hope is to get in contact with various providers of different services. And so I've been doing a lot of research on like what is considered holistic in terms of services or products and things like that, and seeing who's in this area to try and get them to come together so that we could give that information to other mental health professionals as well as any consumers that are interested in that type of stuff. So that's one part of it. And then another piece would be to start to do workshop series and bring in providers who have expertise in different areas. Like I was telling you a while ago, I had met with a lady who takes one of my classes, and she was a chef, like a celebrity chef, and worked out in New York, and she wrote a bunch of cookbooks. And I was looking for somebody who knew anything about Ayurveda, because I do strongly believe that biodiversity is a thing and that the gut biome is a huge thing, and the mind, body, and soul are all connected. And
hmm
again, the holistic piece, like looking at the whole person. Um, and, we can't achieve health and wellness by just addressing one aspect of the person. So I was talking with her, and I would love to have that lady come in and potentially, teach us something, or somebody who is a Reiki master come in, teach us about that, or somebody who does, I don't know, functional integrative medicine, like come talk, tell us more, because I don't think that the population that we're currently serving has access to some of that information, and it would be nice to bring it to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can see areas of opportunity for us to work together, especially when it comes to nutrition or having an event, a place to have events, a venue.
Yeah.
We hope to build a event building on the property right behind us pretty soon. Very excited for that. It will also have a commercial kitchen. And so what I used to love teaching classes about is like we'll have a class about they would center around, for example, like the moringa plant. One plant will teach you how to grow it from seed to harvest, and then we'll have like a 5 course meal centered around that. It would be like the tea,
Oh, that's
the
cool.
drink, and then teach what superfoods can do for you. And
Yeah.
in that plant in particular, I used to take it to places like refugee camps and places where I know they're going through trauma, places where they need something super nutrition density, but then you just find out it can do so many other things, and it becomes like a buzz in the community. And next thing you know, everybody wants to grow it. They can't buy it at the nursery, so we'll be growing it for them and that kind of thing. But yeah, I love it, and I worked with in my past like the naturopathic doctors, and they see the value in farming, sustainable farming, and how
Hmm.
that can affect communities. And so I'm excited for that. And I could also see maybe doing some goat yoga or something like that because I'm very excited to get my hands on goats. I told Kelly when I got here, I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm ready for goats. They'll help me clean the property,
Oh, I'm sure.
and and they're fun. Nothing
You don't
nothing
need a
cuter.
lawnmower when you got goats.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Goats are the best, and they're good. Also, it's all interconnected because their waste is good for directly growing in the field, and it just seems like that when you have one solution for a problem, like we have a lot of weeds, we'll get some goats.
Mm.
But then it's like a holistic solution because you could use it in other areas, and it's all connected in farming. And I feel like that with mental health too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. It's funny. I was studying before I came here because sometimes I forget I know what I know.
Hmm.
And I was like, what is he going to ask me? You know? And I was reading, and I was like, what are holistic practices? Like, what does that even entail? And, you know, what does it even mean to take a holistic perspective? And, like you're saying, like it all is interconnected. And so, like, we humans are like more than just our minds, we are
Hmm.
more than just our bodies. We are energetic creatures and we have a soul.
Hmm.
So, like, it looks at the whole person, everything about the person. And so I started to look and it was talking about, oh, you can get into different holistic practices. And it listed out three of them. And it was like yoga, meditation, and breath work. And I'm like, that's all yoga. Like, that's three of the eight limbs of yoga. Like, what are you talking about? And so that's also part of, I think, what I'm trying to bring to the table in terms of knowledge and practice
Hmm.
with people, and not just with the consumers, but with like my colleagues, even. I think that there's a huge misconception about the practice of yoga. I think out in like the United States, people think of yoga and they're like, I'm going to throw down a mat, put on some stretchy pants, and bend myself into various pretzel forms. And it's so much more than that. Like, yoga is breath work, yoga is meditation, yoga is the eight limbs, basically, the ethical principles, how we treat ourselves, how we treat other people, pointed concentration, meditation, all leading to this bliss state, samadhi. And I don't know how familiar are you familiar with like the eight limbs of yoga, Dennis?
No, this is good for me. So I
Oh,
like it.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, am I just talking? So yeah, Patanjali was a sage. I feel like it was something like 500 BCE that he existed. Like, it's debatable, like
Hmm.
when the texts came out, but he wrote the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which sutra means thread. And so it's just 109, it's 196 principles or concepts that exist that are basically a way of living.
Hmm.
And a lot of it is how we live today. Like, in an adaptive way as opposed to maladaptive. Here, we think of yoga as the physical practice, which is just one of the 8 limbs. That is the asana limb. And out of the 196 sutras, only 3 or 4 of them actually pertain to the actual physical movement of the body. So, like, my hope is to bring meditation, to bring breath work, to bring asana, all to have somebody reach a place of samadhi. But it's I've taken a lot of yoga classes and I am very happy with the way that it has changed in terms of like what is being made available in class. Like it's more than just pretzel yourself, touch your toes,
Mhm.
um, achieve this pose. It's about linking breath with movement. So I practice this even when I'm working with clients. I don't necessarily throw down a mat, although I have on a couple of occasions. People will like literally request that. And I'll be like, sure, yeah, we'll do some gentle movement before we start talking, or maybe we'll pause and we'll like engage in breath work together,
Mhm.
just because things get intense. But yeah, so clients, I'll watch them, not in a creepy way,
Mhm.
like I'll watch them and I'll be like taking in their posture. I will look at how they're breathing, how they're sitting. So, I'm approaching somebody with a more holistic lens. When I'm doing an interview with someone, I want to know, like, what are you eating and how are you sleeping? How many hours do you get? Is it interrupted? And I'll pause people while they're talking and I'll be like, what are you experiencing in your body right now? Like, what are the physical sensations? Like, I want to know everything about the person because it is so much more than like what's going on in your mind right now, especially when they're coming to me with grief, loss, trauma, things like that.
Yeah. I think that, having been through trauma in my life, it took a while for get out of the trauma, that's fine, but then your
Mhm.
body is at like this heightened state of survival,
Yeah.
and it takes quite some time to calm that body down, to calm your mind down, to calm your soul down,
Yeah.
to heal.
Yeah.
And it's a lot more than I think people realize. And if we talk to like Western medicine,
Yeah.
it's more I feel they'll go after certain aspects of it, but there's ways to like, that's what holistic medicine is. It's like we look at the whole thing and where we can go from there.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And like you're saying, like it's really difficult to work with an individual who is still actively living in the trauma. So,
Hmm.
like, if you have people, who are in a domestic violence situation or something like that, that's a good example. And they're still residing in that relationship or in that house for various reasons. Like, it's really hard to address moving forward in health and wellness because you are actively in a state of fight or flight.
Hmm.
And so once the person is removed from that situation or they are no longer in that active trauma like environment or relationship, we can start to make some movement, really. But you do stay in that fight or flight. So the other thing I guess that pulls me towards not it doesn't pull me towards trauma like training, but because of my awareness of the mind body connection and my own experiences and journey of health and wellness, I realized that healing doesn't just happen with words. It happens outside of the therapy hour. It happens outside of talking. It is very much about connection, and it's about connecting to something greater than yourself. And
Hmm.
that can be God. It could be the divine. It could be nature. It could be a group of people. It doesn't matter. It's just outside of you. And that was something that I started to experience in my own life, which was through a yoga community, actually. And I didn't want to be a part of that at first because I had a very like the misunderstanding that I was explaining about yoga previously, like how it's just a physical practice. It's much, much more than that. And I had to experience it myself in order to realize that it was more than just pretzeling yourself on a mat. This awareness started to develop, like, because I was studying in graduate school to be a therapist. I was in therapy myself, which I think is necessary when you're in graduate school. Not for the weak of heart or mind, like a test of endurance. But yeah, so I was doing all this cognitive work
Hmm.
essentially
Hmm.
because emotionally I was all over the freaking place. And I realized that the cognitive work was not making me better. Neither was medication. Like, so I was trying to address the mental, I was trying to address the physical. My relationship with food was terrible, but, I was piecing it together, and so, like, I was actively in what I would say a lowercase t trauma situation, which was graduate school, and until that ended, I couldn't start to really heal from all of that. So, I was able to recognize, like, now, further on, oh, this is much more than just therapy. It's much more than medication. It's much more than, like, changing your diet. It's all of it. Like,
Mhm.
it encompasses everything, and so yoga to me is much bigger than just, because if you look at the root word of it, so yoga means to join. It comes out of the Sanskrit root, and it means to join, to unite, to come together. And what it's referring to is the integrative harmony of the mind, the body, and the soul. So that started me on other rabbit hole journeys of, like, learning how to practice Reiki and sound healing. So, like, that's another thing that I've started to dabble in, which is playing crystal sound bowls and learning how that works and how that works with trauma therapy, even because what it engages is the bilateral stimulation of the brain. So, like, it's binaural beats essentially.
Mhm.
Um, so it all started to come together. And when I was looking at, like, CEU renewals, like, not renewals, CEUs to, like, work towards licensure renewal, I started to read descriptions of things and I was like, oh, they're talking about somatic psychology, soma being the body. And when I started to read the descriptions of these things, I was like, oh my gosh, they're talking about yoga, essentially. They're just putting it in different words. But it's a practice that's existed for, I don't know, a really long
A
time.
really long
A
time.
really long
Yeah,
time.
but it's cool to be able to create the awareness in the local community,
Yeah.
because it's, where I'm from in Arizona, we have Sedona and like a big community. We have naturopathic doctors and schools that are licensed there, so it's pretty common. But then I come out here and it's not so much. Even with what we're doing with agriculture, the sustainability side, we might have organic farmers, but none of this kind of high tech stuff. That's beyond organic and that kind of thing. So it's neat to be able to plant seeds in communities and
Mhm.
watch them grow. But a big part of it's creating this awareness that people know what's out there and what's available to them. And with healing, I feel that we all kind of have our little niche that really resonates with us, and it's nice to have the opportunities to pursue something different.
Yeah. I'm curious, what are your thoughts on, like, why it isn't as prevalent? Like, why there's such a lag? Because it's been my understanding that, like, the coasts have been, like, on the forefront of things,
Hmm.
and it seems to have lagged significantly. Because 'cause I've observed that as well, but I just don't understand why.
I'm not sure. I think maybe a part of it has to do with culture, but I'm not sure. I don't know, to be honest with you. I've been to some places. When I spent time in Trinidad in the jungle, that was what you're talking about was there, and it was a big part of it. I think that maybe with like yoga and everything, it depends on definitely the culture. In Trinidad, there was a big, huge Indian population there, so of
Mhm.
course it's much more prevalent there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really think of the cultural thing of the land, maybe not the land itself, but just kind of who's living there.
Population.
Hmm. Hmm.
Interesting.
Yep. But I know this is like a well-established town, and the families have been living here for a long time, and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's my thoughts anyway. But what I love about healing is that it's well documented that belief in a higher power does help. And I love to see that when I first got into addiction recovery with clients and everything. That's the part that I love, that I could be honest with people and tell, my side of things on what helped me.
Yeah.
And it's not something they shy away from per se, but it's documented. It helps.
Oh, for sure.
And I love that.
Yeah. No, yeah, and honestly, like, my whole position with people, like, when I'm working with them, I it's not that I don't care. I do care
Hmm.
that you have a belief in something. And it just doesn't matter to me what you call it, like, it doesn't. And I know a lot of people, especially in addiction recovery, they struggle with the concept of a power greater than themselves, generally because they had a really crappy relationship with that. Like they're burned. They
Mhm.
have a lot of resentment towards, God or a higher power or something like that because, like, look what you did to me, or, that kind of sentiment. Or,
Yeah.
if there was a God, why did the God have? And so trying to work on that aspect is huge in recovery and in therapy, but also like it's not like, oh, it's not my role. Like I call myself a novice in terms of like I'm like a spiritual infant essentially. Like
Mhm.
there are so many people out there who know way more than I do about all things spiritual, but I will facilitate that conversation with folks and guide them to explore and engage on that journey, but I think one of the things honestly, Dennis, that is really like wild that I've noticed in like trends in terms of research and trauma work is this whole concept of polyvagal theory and the parasympathetic nervous system. And are you familiar with polyvagal and
Nope.
parasympathetic? Oh, fantastic. Love it. Fight, flight, freeze, fawn. Okay. So with polyvagal theory and trauma work, like this is where it's like starting to like be like almost like a catch. Like, and I'm thinking maybe that PESI, the people who make those trainings are like watching my feed so that like they keep advertising these things to me. Cause I'm like, yes, I need this one and I need this one. But polyvagal theory is Steve Porges's work, and Deb Dana is somebody who took it and like put it into words that therapists could then use in terms of like techniques and approaches with clients. But basically, our autonomic nervous system, starting at the base of the brain, it comes down both sides of the neck and then branches out throughout the body. And the vagus nerve is what travels from the base of the brainstem down the sides of the neck, down through the body. And it encounters all of our organs. And it's responsible for things like digestion, salivation, heart rate, respiratory functioning, hormone production, everything essentially that happens without our conscious control. And so this is broken into the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. And everybody's like, yes, parasympathetic. But parasympathetic actually has two different pathways. So there's the the ventral vagal, which is the front of the body. So ventral vagal system. And then there's the dorsal vagal system. And so I always remember it like dorsal, like dolphin, like a
Mhm.
little dorsal fin. And so if you were to think about it on the realm of like a ladder, like step ladder, we move through dorsal, then sympathetic. So dorsal vagal, sympathetic, and then ventral vagal. And so it's an evolutionary thing. The dorsal vagal parasympathetic branch was the first to come on scene. And if we were to think about things like a tortoise or something, like evolutionarily speaking, if a threat were to be encountered, what
Mhm.
does a tortoise do? It sucks everything in, shuts down, heart rate slows, respiration slows, because they're trying to stay alive. They're trying to like survive the threat. Next on scene, evolutionary, you think about like little minnows swimming around. If a threat comes into the water, what do? Scram, flee the situation.
Mhm.
And then the final thing to develop, and I don't have like my PowerPoint slides or anything, so I can't tell you like how many millions of years ago it happened. But then the final thing was the ventral vagal system. And that is our not everything is great, but it's like we're safe, we're secure. I don't have to like what's going on, but I feel grounded in this moment. It's the connection piece. And I think that's what's so huge and important in a lot of like people's recovery from things is to be able to be connected. Because ultimately, what we're trying to do is survive. Like
Mhm.
all anybody is trying to do is survive. And our nervous system is designed to create alerts
Mhm.
when we encounter threats. So, like, if somebody's been traumatized, we're constantly scanning this environment. Like, I'm scanning everything right now, and I'm just like, oh, is there a threat here? Like, I heard a beep in the background, and I'm like, these lights are really bright. And, like,
Yeah.
like, I can't see behind those lights. Is there a threat here? But we're scanning constantly for either threats to our survival or cues for safety.
Mhm.
And so part of the beauty, like, and linking it all back together to yoga and everything, part of the beauty with yoga is that we have the ability to consciously control is our breath. So one of the greatest assets any of us has is deep breathing. And so when I talk with clients about this, I'm like, I know, it's so cliche, just breathe, right? Because, the marketing of that, like, everybody's like, "Just breathe," and they've got that little dandelion, "Just breathe" type thing, and it's like, okay, you guys are making it cheesy and corny, and nobody wants to do it because you're trying to sell it to them, but the truth of the matter is, it works,
Mhm.
and it's free, and no one can ever take it away from you. Like, you have it all the time, and so, like, one of the things that I train people and going back to yoga, it's one of the limbs of yoga, breath work. It's called pranayam. So prana is life force energy. Yam translates to the control of. So pranayam is the control of your life force energy, which is just basically breath work. But everybody's talking about the same thing and we're all doing it in different ways because we're all just trying to market it differently. But in all reality, all it is breath work. But it helps us to, I hate to say manipulate, but manipulate ourselves to come out of fight or flight.
Mhm.
We can also alternatively engage in breath practices that activate the system. So if you're lethargic, you're depressed or something like that, like I hate doing it, but like there's this breath of fire where you lift your arms up into the air and you bring them down really quickly. And so inhale up, exhale down, and you do, but we can either activate or chill out the body. But yeah, all of these things, they come together and it's all so much larger than just talking about stuff. I mean, yeah, I got to talk about it to tell people what it means. And there has to be some level of buy in. Otherwise, people are just like, you're just telling me to breathe. Really? You went to graduate school for 13 years and all you've got is just breathe? And I'm like, yep, like, that's it.
Yeah, well, it's important and can't be overstated. And I totally get it. And what I really hope to achieve here on the farm is to have a safe place where people can come, their nervous system can relax, they can
Mm,
realize there's no threats, but then also they can get reintegrated with the community. And that's the exciting part for me. But the more we have to offer people, the more they can find their little niche, the more ways we can have to help them heal. And so I'm really excited to work with you. I know this is your first time out on the farm. It's not going to be your last.
no, hopefully not.
And hopefully we have the event building soon. I think that'll be really great. But if not, I know we'll have goats on the way. We'll have some very healthy superfoods.
Yeah.
Look forward to having classes to teach people about the different aspects of healing and mind, body, and soul. Whether it's how to eat healthy foods, how to get your body right, get your soul right, and all of that. So
Yeah.
very excited for that. We actually just are working on pre-selling gift cards that people can use at Saltbridge Farm. We're just started offering CSA produce subscription, which I'm really excited for.
Oh, cool.
Yep. So I don't even think we've announced it on social media by the time this drops. Hopefully we have. Yep. But yeah, so there's a lot, and we're really just starting to grow. And I know you're just starting this brand new title for you, this brand new role, and I think we both have Kelly to thank. So,
Yes, very much so.
well, I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for coming out here. Like I said, I don't think it'll be the last time I see you. But anyway, thank you very much for joining us. Take care.